Hello, everyone. Hi, guys, and welcome back to episode 5, I believe, of the Perfecting Me podcast. So, let's get right into it. As y'all know, I moved back to my parents' house, and I've never been happier. I've never been happier in my life to be back in my parents' house. Like, I never thought I would be saying that, but here I am, saying it loud, proud, and clear that I am so glad to be back under my parents' roof. Like, I have the love, I have the support, and I have a better mindset to, like, understand my parents and value all the type of growth that they try to instill in me, because truth is, that's what they want. They just want the best for us. But their delivery, sometimes there can be a dissonance. So, anyway, let me not talk too much about what's been going on with me. Today's topic, I've decided, is self-love, right? And I thought that this was like the perfect topic to talk about for this week because I'm still learning it. Like, I was talking with one of my friends yesterday, and I was telling her how, like, around this time last year, I had read The Mastery of Love, and it really enlightened me. Like, it really made me feel like, dang, this is what I needed to know. This is the growth that I needed. And 2 years before that, I also had that same aha moment where I found my newfound confidence, and I thought that that was like the epitome to my growth. I thought, like, there wasn't any more growing that I needed. This is the growth that I needed. But I continue to find myself in situations where I'm put in a place to see that I still have a lot of growing to do. This topic is so absolutely important. It's one of the most important things to talk about, to know, to practice, because if you don't love yourself, you truly cannot love anything or anybody else. And I feel like that's something extremely hard for people to understand because they love. Self-love is the key to growth. So let's get into it. When it comes to self-love, I started off in a place where I completely did not love myself. I hated myself. I didn't value myself. I didn't view myself as worthy of boyfriends. I didn't view myself worthy of nice clothes. I didn't view myself worthy of pursuing relationships. And I had to get to a place where I at least thought I was beautiful, right? And I think I've touched on this in a lot of different episodes, but I really want to dive into it in this one because that's what this is about, right? When it comes to my self-love journey, I really had to learn to see the value in myself. I had to fight with myself. Like, I mean, constantly fighting every single day, like telling myself, girl, don't say that about yourself. Don't, say otherwise, preach otherwise. My mom is someone who really highly values the law of attraction. And, like, she made me read the book when I was in middle school. And, like, I read it, didn't understand it, didn't like it. Was like, girl, why did you force me to read this book? But after reading it, I found, like, the things that I projected and wanted the most were the things that came to me. The things that I had at the forefront of my mind were the things that came true. And I was like, you know what? Like, this has to be true. And it was little things like me saying, I'm going to get a new phone. Like, I want a new phone. I'm going to get a new phone. And next thing you know, my mom is calling me like, you have a upgrade. Do you want to get a new phone? And I'm like, ain't no way I sent that to her telepathically. Like, so I started really to believe in the law of attraction. Honestly, it was something that really helped me in my growth journey because I was able to sit and be like, okay, if this shit can work and get me a new phone, then me telling myself that I'm pretty, whether I believe it or not, it's worth a shot. You know what I mean? So I fought with myself countlessly to tell myself that I was beautiful, tell myself that I was worthy of love. And it got me to a place where, like, I was comfortable to wear crop tops. Like, my style that you guys see today, if I pulled out pictures of me from middle school, you guys would be like, girl, who is that? Like, I wish I was lying, but I'm being so serious. Like, my style in middle school and high school was heavily influenced by not only my friends, but also by how I viewed myself. I don't know if you guys know, like, anybody who shopped at H&M, I wore my burgundy H&M sweater every single day. It didn't matter what outfit I had on. It didn't matter how hot or how cold. I wore that outfit every single day. My bottoms consisted of joggers and ripped jeans, tight ripped jeans. I don't even like jeans. Like, if you look at me today, if y'all come and going through my closet, I don't have a single pair of jeans. Like, I don't own them because I don't see the purpose. I don't see the value in them. But that's what I wore. That's what my closet consisted of. Like, I had no other types of pants. I didn't own not a single crop top, maybe one. Like, and even then, the one time I dressed as close as possible to how I authentically wanted to was maybe my birthday, and that was like usually with a lot of motivation from my friends. They helped me go to the mall, helped me find outfits, and that's why I always look back and say, like, I had the realest friend group ever. Like, I had the realest friends ever. My high school, middle school experience, it taught me a lot, it humbled me a lot, but I was so highly blessed. Like, God really sent me those angels, because despite how much I didn't love myself, I had friends who still chose to love me. And like, I do look back and realize with all of my knowledge now that like there must have been a part of insecurity in them that felt like, you know, I brought enough to the table to be worthy of, like, you know, hanging out with. But I think in getting to know me and in getting to realize my character, they really saw beauty in me, and they fought to push me to show that beauty outwardly, like in my appearance. And sadly, I never got to that point fully in high school. I never got to that point fully, like, even in my freshman year of college. Like, I had a breast reduction. Not many people know that. And when I got that breast reduction, I really thought it was going to be like the key to my success. I thought it was going to be what got me to my point of feeling comfortable, feeling valid, beautiful. But even after the breast reduction, I put on a crop top, and I was so happy that like it fit right, or at least the way that I wanted to. I was so happy that I didn't look as big as I used to. But I still wasn't in that place. I still wasn't fully buying clothes that served me or served my style. And even till today, like, that's why I say me moving back home is something that is so valuable to me, because I'm finally in a place where I can start from the root. You know, I was talking to my best friend the other day about how this room has changed so much. This is my childhood bedroom, and one thing about me is I love change. A lot of people fear change, but I seek change. So like, I would have my room, and then I'd like completely switch my room up, and like people would never understand. They'd be like, Michelle, how did you get your bed from that side to this side and your dresser from that one to the other? Like, and no, your dad didn't help you, nobody helped you. And one thing about me is when I'm determined, when I want to do something, I'm gonna do it, whether insecurity or whatever is there. Like, I'm gonna do it. So I used to always change up my room, and like, it's because in that change, in that switch, I got to find a new version of myself, a new person that I wanted to, a new part of me that I wanted to activate, that I wanted to put to the forefront. And that's what I'm doing right now. In 2020, finally put myself in a position where I was like, all right, girl, enough is enough. Like, you need to love yourself, you need to value yourself, and it needs to show. Like, it can't be that, like, you know, you're dressing like a toad, but you're telling yourself, you're going around to tell people, no, but I love me, no, but I'm pretty, no, but I'm gorgeous, but you're not showing that. You know what I mean? So that was the era of the unemployment money, baby. So I got my unemployment money, and I got myself an entire new wardrobe. I got myself all new clothes. I got myself skirts. I had never wore a skirt in high school, middle school, like, unless it was like my birthday. And even then, no, I don't even think I ever wore a skirt. Like, I had one jean skirt that I had bought, and I wanted to wear it so bad, but I just didn't feel confident enough to, and I never wore it. And if you guys see me today, my entire, go to my IG, y'all gonna see. My entire wardrobe is full of skirts. I love skirts. I love how they fit me. I love how I look in them. I feel so beautiful when I wear skirts. And also, like, I love to dance. I love to move. So that's why jeans don't serve me. Like, I can't wear anything that is constricting me to where, like, I can't move my waists. Are you understanding? So, literally, I bought a whole brand new wardrobe from Shein, and I bought new bathing suits, because like before that I had only ever wore black one pieces, like not colorful, black. I wore ugly grandma black one pieces that didn't serve me, didn't serve my body or who I was inside. And I finally bought myself two pieces for the first time. And I remember that like exact moment when, and my best friend was here when my like Shein cart came in. I know at the time she didn't even realize the significance and the importance of that Shein cart, but I did, because when I looked at myself in the mirror, it was the first time I ever saw myself in club clothes. It was the first time I ever saw myself in two pieces and in a bodycon dress, I was so like enamored with the person that I saw the person that I saw I could become in choosing myself, because I like had never I strayed away from these type of clothing for years, and I loved it, you know? And it activated a side of myself that I never thought. Like, that was the start of the person that you guys see today. And, you know, y'all got Shein to thank for that. Like, you know, don't shop at Shein, because realistically, like, Shein's a little corrupted. But that cart changed my life, because in that moment, I liked how I looked for the first time. I liked how I dressed for the first time. And I mean, I'm saying this, but tread really lightly. Like, I liked how I dressed in high school. You know, I liked my baggy pants and my oversized t-shirts and my big crop tops, like thrifting and stuff like that. That is a part of me that was very genuine, that like I did like how I looked, but I definitely limited myself as far as like my attire, because I wasn't confident enough in presenting in the types of clothes that like I really wanted to wear, or like the other types of clothes, because like I said, I still like these clothes. Like, you would still catch me in something like this today, but just very differently, more creatively, more authentically geared towards me, rather than like trying to keep up with the trends of other people in my school or like social media. I finally got these clothes, and it really started this journey in me in wanting to learn to love myself. But one thing that I did not work on was how I interacted with people, how that healing that I did. So I came from a place where I was so insecure that like when I finally found this confidence, I didn't want to lose it. I didn't want it to be tainted. I became extremely guarded. I was just not the type of girl that men could approach. Not only that, but I didn't want to be approached, and I thought that it was from a independent woman standpoint of me, but it was actually from a place of insecurity. Looking back now, I realized I was more so insecure about the fact that if a guy came to me and approached me and, you know, said something that made me feel insecure, I was scared of that. I was scared of interacting with men and the place that they put me in. You know, if I'm talking to a guy in a club, if I was sitting comfortably, now I'm sucking in my stomach, or now I'm taking my jean jacket to cover my body. I had made steps to, you know, be in the environments that I never would have put myself in, wear the clothes that I never would have put myself in, but I still didn't love myself enough to be okay with the outcomes that come from my newfound version of myself. Even after becoming the most confident person I've ever met, like till today, I mean, I see a lot of confident people, and like I definitely think I now, in finding my confidence, I'm more attracted to people that are confident, because I can sense someone who's lying about being confident and someone who is being honest about being confident. But still in that, like, I was still insecure, but I thought that I wasn't insecure anymore just because I believed I was beautiful. Like, I thought that that was enough. And not only that, but I saw a lot of changes too, you know? Like, once in changing my attire, men had never approached me. Men had never came up to me. I wasn't that girl, like, that guys seeked to talk to in the club. Like, because I definitely still went out with my friends in my regular clothes. I had my very short-lived college career, my fall semester, my freshman year of college, and like it was crazy, because it's like I really didn't want men to come up to me, but I did. Them coming up to me meant that, you know, I was worthy of being around the girls that I was around. I was worthy of going to these places, and not only that, but I was beautiful to men. I was attractive to men, but at the same time, I didn't want them to come and talk to me because I was scared, I was fearful, I was afraid. I was worried of the insecurities that I had pushed deep down inside myself being validated by outside sources. And it was really hard for me. But I remember one time I heard my sister and my cousin talking about me, because a guy was talking to us, and he was talking to my cousins, to my cousin and my sister. And in that situation, they had asked, like, what did you guys think? Like, the guy asked me what did I think their intentions were in coming to talk to us, and I was like, the fuck? And my sister and my cousin were talking, and they were like, dang, like, she doesn't know how to talk to men, like, that's so embarrassing, she's very aggressive. And me, I'm like, how the fuck can I be aggressive? Like, I got a pretty face, I can't be aggressive, you lie. And I remember being so hurt and like so offended, but truth is, I was so aggressive. I was so guarded. I'm a very honest person. One thing about me is I don't lie. Like, I don't lie. And that's why, a lot of people love me, a lot of people are drawn to me, but that's also the same reason why a lot of people don't like me. Is because one thing I won't do is lie. I'll lay my shit bare. I'll lay my wrongdoings bare, because the truth will always set you free. I always had the ideology, like, if I'm telling the truth, then, like, there's nothing wrong with that. You can tell the truth, but you also can say it in a way that isn't, you can work on your delivery. Ooh, Naughty wants to thunderstorm. I definitely had to understand that my approach, my delivery was something that I had to work on. And the only reason why I delivered so aggressively was because of my insecurity, was because if I accepted the fact that I knew those guys were approaching my sister and my cousin and us to talk to us because they had a sexual motivation, I didn't deem them worthy of conversation. That showed whether I was trying to be honest or not, or whether I was, not trying to be offensive or not. My energy, my mind was already made that these were not men worthy of my attention. They were not men worthy of my time. And it came across as that. But I can make these decisions and I can, come to my own understandings within myself, but still choose to be understanding, still choose to be in a place where I don't communicate so aggressively. I don't communicate in a way that's dismissive of others, or because at the end of the day, everybody's allowed to have their own motivations, their own needs and desires that they're trying to satisfy in me, and I can't blame them for that. In finding that confidence to wear the things that I wanted to wear, men did begin to approach me. I had never been approached, I had never been adored openly by men, and it was something that made me extremely uncomfortable. Till today I still struggle with accepting compliments. I do this thing where I'll just say I know, because like I said, I'm very confident, so it doesn't hurt me to top your confidence with more validation from myself. But I learned that also still came from an insecure place of me saying thank you, and I was so afraid that in me choosing to thank them and be overly appreciative of someone complimenting me, it showed my insecurity. So I chose to just put this hard body persona where I would just be like, yeah, I know, I am. People were you're so pretty, thanks, babes, I know. And, nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, like I said, it came from a place of insecurity. So not only now do I have this new style and I'm loving how I look, I'm finally finding myself in a confident place, but now, I'm finally being approached. I'm finally being admired by people that I never thought would approach or admire me. I'm talking, this is the first time men that I actually like men that I thought before I could have never got, are, taking a liking to me. It really, really was hard for me at first, but then it only further perpetuated my guardedness and my inability to accept love, because I think I was just now learning to love myself, and I didn't want to lose that, only for that to lead to me loving them more than I love me. I continue to be in that place of, no one can top me, no one comes above me, it's me over anyone. And I believe that that's a great mindset to have. You should always love and value yourself more than you value anybody else. But to be in a place where you can't accept genuine love because you're afraid to lose love for yourself shows I think it calls for a deeper about self-evaluation to understand, do I love me, or do I just want to believe that I love me? And I am still grateful for the fact that I was in that place, because it brought me here. If I was in that place where I didn't love myself at all, it wouldn't have been any better. It would have been probably worse. But I definitely came to a place where I realized I needed more growth, and that's what led me to this same time last year where I read that book. And reading that book, it talked a lot about forgiveness. It basically said how the key to self-love is forgiveness, and the key to outside love is self-love. And I was just like, bro, what do you mean forgiveness? And I'm talking, this thing was saying you have to forgive yourself for all the things that you feel like you've done to others. You have to forgive others for all the things that you think they've done to you, and you can't leave anyone in that bracket of unforgiveness. So even the people that I felt had wronged me the most, had hurt me the most, I still had to choose to forgive them. I still had to find reasoning in choosing to forgive them, and not only forgive them, but also to forgive myself in the process of, and forgive and apologize for things that I could have possibly done, and I could have possibly and anything that I could have possibly done to encourage my own hurt from that person. And I really had to sit on this concept. I was like, okay, maybe like I'll apologize to my mom or my dad or like my sister. And then I was like, but it just couldn't shake from my mind the fact that there was so many other people to apologize to. Like, when I heard this, it's like I instantly knew, but I didn't want to accept it. And so in the book, it said to write a list of people that you could possibly apologize to, like any and every person that you could possibly apologize to. So I did that. I wrote a list, and I wrote every name of any person that I personally in my heart knew that I felt like I did something wrong to, whether they knew it or not. And I found myself in a place out of nowhere where I was writing these letters in my notes to all of these people. And all these people, they remember, they know this. Like, I wrote a letter to my dad, my sister, my brother. I wrote a letter to ex-friends. I wrote a letter to current friends. And like, it was really hard. It was really hard, but and I didn't even plan on sending these letters. But after sending one, like, the amount of, not only the amount of forgiveness and weight that was lifted off of my shoulders, but also the responses that I began to receive from these people were responses that, like, I could have never imagined. And all of them ended in love. All of these responses ended in love, ended in closure, understanding, and it was one of the best things I could have ever done for myself in my life. And at that time, another situation arose that, like, I never could have foresawn. And it was a situation that, like, and this is one of those things that shows you how the universe will test you. Like, I always tell my friend, you know, why does it seem like, and I know a lot of girls could probably relate to this, why does it seem like when you finally get over, like, a certain man, all of a sudden he's coming back and it seems like he's about to do right by you, or you finally moved on from a certain relationship and all of a sudden another man who seems perfect but is doing the same, like, you can sense the same energy that you had just moved on from being in this present relationship, but it just seems too good to be true to let go of. And truth is, the universe will always test you. It will always test you to see, like, okay, you're saying that you've learned this, you're saying that you've proved this to yourself, so then prove it to us, right? God will always want you to prove your you know, the Bible talks a lot about proving to God your loyalty and your love to him. And truth is, proving your love and loyalty to God is proving your love and loyalty to yourself. So in that moment, I had just found this newfound, like, idea of forgiveness, and I wrote all these messages to people that, like, I felt like I needed to apologize to, or I needed to forgive. I let go of situations that hurt me so much and that I really didn't want to let go of. I chose to forgive and to forget, and it was really serving me. And then a situation broke between people that I really valued and really loved and held dear to my heart that, like, put me in a place of, like, complete unforgiveness. Like, there was specific people in that situation that I said, like, I will die on my grave, and, like, these girls will never see forgiveness from me. These girls will never see not a lick of love, not a lick of light, not a lick of understanding from me. And I know myself to be the most loving, the most understanding person, but yet I couldn't. And not only that, but I just found how much, I saw the physical evidence of how much choosing to forgive served me, but yet I still decided to not forgive. I finally was in a place where I was like, bro, I'm going to choose to forgive. No. So I had decided, that's it. Like, one thing about me is I'm not going to dwell. I'm not going to hold on to situations. I'm not going to put myself in a situation where I have to, you know, sit and be sad and dwell on something. Like, my happiness, my success, my peace is the number one most important thing to me. But in that, I knew I didn't forgive. Like, I knew I put it behind me. Like, I wasn't talking about it. I wasn't worried about it. I wasn't crying about it no longer. But in my head, I had said, like, if I see any of these girls, like, I'm gonna fight. You know, like, I literally said that. I said, I'm gonna fight. Like, I don't care. And anybody who knows me knows I'm not a fighter. Like, I'm 100% a lover. I've always been like that. In high school, I was terrified. All my friends, they were big fighters. Big fighters. Like, my friend group was known like to not be fucked with, tread lightly with them. And it was so ironic that I was in that friend group because I was mortified. Like every time my friends got in a fight, I was like, oh my God, am I gonna have to fight? I'm gonna have to jump in. If I have to jump in, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna be the one who gets their ass whooped, and all my friends are gonna realize that I'm not even worthy of being in this friend group. Like I was terrified. I was in a place where I was like, no, like I can't, like I can't fight. I'm not that type of girl. But you know, I knew from my friends that I loved them and I would if I had to. But I was mortified. I was terrified. But like I look back and I realized God, like first of all, thank God, God never put me in a position where I had to fight. Mashallah, them bitches handle that shit on their own. But like it put me in I realized I was in that friend group because I needed that growth. I needed to be in a place where I needed to be surrounded by people who were willing to not allow anyone to disrespect them, because I definitely tolerated disrespect. I allowed disrespect, I tolerated it, and probably even welcomed it because I, one, didn't value myself, but one, also just was not like the type of person that would, you know, stand up for myself. Like I was just too scared, and also just felt like, you know, most of the time there was probably truth to the things that people were saying. But so when I found myself at this place where I'm writing these letters and I'm doing these things, and now I get into this altercation in this situation with these girls that like I once really loved, it was really hard for me. Like I still chose to practice that forgiveness. I still continue to grow in my light and use the newfound like enlightenment that I had found from that part of my journey. And I moved on, I kept going, and now here I am, right? Like I found myself in a better place. I was lighter, I was freer. I began to find understanding as to my purpose in those girls' lives, my role as to why things went the way that they did. Like I completely understood things, but I still wasn't in a place where I was really choosing to forgive. And not only that, like I didn't realize how me choosing not to forgive that one person or those few people was really, really hindering me, was really keeping me away. Like I grew so much. I received, and not only that, like I did that, and then like the most important person to me in the world came back in my life. So I'm sitting here like, oh my gosh, like I really don't need them, you know? Like I'm happy over here. Like the happiest I've ever been. So it was like really easy for me to ignore the forgiveness aspect. It was really easy for me to ignore the other part of me that was drowning in choosing to not forgive and choosing to not choose love, and how it was having a personal effect on me. Because I found myself like, you know, I really wanted to start this podcast, right? And one of the people that I like ended up like falling out with, we were supposed to start the podcast together, and like I had came up with the name, I had came up with like a lot of the things for the podcast, but and honestly did most of the work, but like I still felt so wrong in like wanting to start this podcast. I still like hindered myself and didn't allow myself to start the podcast because a part of me felt like I was betraying someone who had already chose to betray me, betraying someone who like, you know, who clearly chose themselves. You know, that girl in that moment chose herself, and I can't be mad at her for that. But I also can't allow myself to subscribe to that and not do what I have to do because of that. And it took me months after that, up until the point where I started my podcast, where I finally like chose to forgive her, and I finally chose to be in a place where it was like, you know what, like things happen, it is what it is. Like when I really analyze the dynamic, how what could she really have done? Like there's so many things that I say and I look back and I'm like, you know what, fuck it, I forgive her. So I chose to forgive her, and here I am. Like it brought me the start of my podcast. Well, not only that, because I also had my friend who gave me this mic, who like I confided in him about like a lot of my struggles and a lot of the like stress that I had surrounding starting this podcast. And I remember I was saying all these things, and I was like, oh my gosh, she about to like give me good advice. I'm about to get so much empathy from him, like, or at least that's what I just expected. Like it's not like I was searching for that, but I definitely expected like some heartfelt like, you got this, girl, response. And he was like, honestly, that just sounded like a whole bunch of bullshit. And I was like, how dare he? How dare he tell me that sound like bullshit? Like, I'm telling you my actual fears and like concerns, and you telling me it sounds like a whole bunch of bullshit. Like, I was real hurt. But truth is, it was a whole bunch of bullshit. It was just a whole bunch of stuff that I told myself to allow myself to not start, that I told myself to undermine and cover up the real reasons why I wasn't starting, the true fears that I had inside. Once I finally chose to forgive, I finally chose to put things behind me, I found myself in a place where I started wanting to work. When you choose to love yourself, you will always do things that serve you. If you don't love yourself, you're going to do things that don't serve you. Real love, things that serve you, they will not lead you into temptation. They will not lead you into frustration. They will not lead you into pain, hurt. Like, that's not real. That's not how it works, you know? We live in a society where we've glamorized toxic relationships. We've glamorized, like, having to ride for your man and you know, stick by your shorty and like stuff like that. But it's like, real love, real relationships, like they don't come with that. You don't have to do that. It doesn't feel like you're choosing to ride for somebody. You're choosing other than yourself to, you're choosing with things to stick to something even though it hurts you just because of somebody else. When you love yourself, you do right by yourself, always, at all times, in all situations. That means liking somebody so much, being so heavily attracted to somebody, but seeing that they don't fully value you, they don't fully see your worth, and choosing to not lean into that, to not choose that, choosing to choose yourself in situations where it's most uncomfortable, but you know it's right by you. You know, like if you work in a work situation and you know that everything that's going on in that work situation isn't working, but you feel uncomfortable because saying it, because all your coworkers are comfortable doing it, but speaking for yourself, you end up speaking for yourself, and you end up finding out that the things they were doing was wrong anyway, and that these things needed to be changed, or that a lot of these coworkers didn't like it, but they just assumed their position because of the overall work dynamic and work understanding. It's so easy to just choose the comfortable. We choose the uncomfortable for ourselves, but choose the comfortable for everybody else. It's so easy to choose what makes everybody else happy before choosing what makes yourself happy. And you have to be selfish. Real love is selfishness, and it leads to genuine love. Like, if I choose to love myself, I choose to choose myself every time I go on dates. I go on a date with somebody and they prove to me that they don't have a characteristic that I desire in a lifetime partner, or they have a certain characteristic that I don't desire. Every time I choose to choose myself, I bring myself closer to finding somebody that is in full alignment with the views and the mindset and the lifestyle of someone that I would want in a lifetime partner, rather than settling with someone that I saw from the beginning had parts of themselves that I didn't really correlate with, but I wanted to make it work. I was willing to find a way to dumb myself down for them, or hope that they would change themselves for me. Truth is, you have to be honest with yourself about what you see, about who people are, about the dynamics that you find yourself in, because that is when you'll know. That is when you'll lead yourself towards things that are for you. So in that, we get to this journey now, right, where I'm back at my parents' house. So the last couple months, truth is, like, I was really struggling with money. Like, one thing about me, anybody who really knows me knows that I suck with money. Like, I suck. You know, I was very coddled by my parents. I wouldn't say coddled, but definitely highly supported financially by my parents. And I know that it comes from a place from them growing up and not having financial support in a way that they needed or in a way that they desired. And so it became something that was very important to them, very important to give to their children. And so I was that child. I was the lucky child that receives, you know, a lot of financial help. Like, if I needed help with my rent, my parents would be mad at me, but they gonna help me. If I needed money for gas, I just text my dad and he transferred it to my account. And like, this is something that I was very, very comfortable in. But in me being so comfortable with money, I failed to choose saving. I failed to choose, like, valuing my money. I didn't see the value in money. I didn't, you know, I definitely felt like money grew on trees. And I'm so glad that I had this experience where I had to live by myself, because it was me like lying to myself that I was this girl that could save. It was me lying to myself that, like, you know, I was this person who was all around like successful. But it's like, even if I'm able to make ends meet, even if I'm able to be successful, but it's like I don't want to be, you know, the person that I see myself being in the future is not someone that is living paycheck to paycheck. And I knew that. I've always known that, and I've always said to myself, like, I will never be that. Like, when I'm a mom, when I'm independent, fully independent from my parents, I will never be that. But I wasn't learning to be financially stable and living on my own. I wasn't seeing the value. My parents wanted me to come back home so bad. They were like, girl, just save. And I chose my freedom. I chose being able to have a place that I could do whatever I want in, and bring whoever I want over, and, you know, go wherever I want at night, over living in a home where there's living in a home where there's structure, there's rules that I might not want to follow, but it leads to my success. And when I started to really understand the whole self-love thing, I realized, like, girl, you do love yourself. You have grown, but not enough. Not in, you know, I focused so much on how I chose myself when it came to men, how I chose myself when it came to friends, but not how I chose myself when it came to me. And so I really became confronted with the fact that I needed to move back home. You know, if I wanted to become this woman who could save, if I wanted to become this woman who, because truth is, I feel like I worked so hard on so many other aspects of myself. Like, I think I'm perfect. Like, not perfect, nobody's perfect, but I definitely think, like, the woman that I present as, the woman that I vocalize myself as, is 100% me. But when it comes to the money aspect of things, like, I definitely need to work on that. I definitely need to do better. I, you know, don't want to live paycheck to paycheck. I don't want to have to hustle. And, like, truth is, I didn't want to have to miss out on the enjoyment. I think it came from the part of me that felt like I missed out on all of that from being insecure in high school and my freshman year of college. And then the whole COVID thing happened where, like, you know, everybody's social lives were kind of like they put the reset button and everybody had to start over. And for someone who was like just starting her college social career, like, I completely lost myself. I completely lost the part of me that knew how to talk. Like I said, I struggled starting this podcast because I was afraid of talking. I was afraid of what people thought about me. I had become a shell version of myself. And so I really had to work on realizing what it is that I want, who it is that I say I am, that I want to be, and choose that. I've been sitting all this time desiring a man, desiring a partner. You know, I want true love. I want someone that can support me and this, that, and the third. But can I support my man? How do I want a boyfriend? I can barely buy him Jordans. You know, like, can I buy my man a PS5? Absolutely not. My mommy and daddy would have bought y'all that PS5. Like, it would not have been me. So it's definitely, and it doesn't feel good when it doesn't come from you. It wouldn't, you know, I would have definitely, like, made ends meet for my man. I would have definitely spoiled him. But not only that, I would have continued to be broke. I would have continued to live paycheck to paycheck. And I'm so glad that the universe didn't grant me that, because they knew that I wasn't ready for that. And I just didn't want to be honest with myself about it. I didn't love myself enough to the point where I wanted myself to be successful. I didn't love myself enough where I wanted myself to have money in a savings account. I didn't love myself enough where I don't want to live in my parents' house, but I don't have any money to buy a home. You know what I mean? Like, that's not real love. Like, I can say that I loved myself as much as I wanted to, but if I wasn't setting myself up to be financially stable, if I wasn't setting myself up to be financially independent, then I don't love myself. Because I know myself. I know enough to know that I don't want to live in my parents' house. I want to have my own home. I love being independent. I love being successful. Like, and when I mean I love being independent, like, I would build a car. Like, I would learn to be a mechanic. I would learn to build a house. When I retire, like, I want to sit and do crafty stuff like that. I'm very hands-on. Like, I'm very independent. But how can I do these things if I cannot financially support myself? Clearly, I don't love myself. I wasn't choosing myself. I was choosing to choose others. I was choosing to put myself in a place to choose others. I was choosing to put myself in a place to choose enjoyment, temporary enjoyment that often didn't even lead to enjoyment. Like, I can tell you, 90% of the times that I went out in these 2 years and living by myself, I ended the night in the car getting lit with just me and my homegirl, because the club wasn't lit, the vibe wasn't there, the people weren't kind, or like the vibes of the people just were off. Like 90% of these interactions ended in trash. I wasted money. I spent $20 to get into a club that I didn't even like, and I left in 5 minutes. Like, I look back and I'm like, did I really have enjoyment? No, I didn't even really have that enjoyment. I lived that whole life, spent all that money for a short, like, to end up doing the same thing every single day. In coming back and living with my parents, I've seen how much I've strayed from, like, my original, because like I said, my original clothing, I may not have felt confident, I may not have been dressing authentically in the sense of like adding certain aspects of clothes, but I was very authentic in the types of clothes that I picked, especially when it came to like thrifting. Like, I love the jeans, I love the not jeans. I loved like oversized jean jackets, and I loved like the type of shoes that I bought. Like, I would definitely wear like a pair of Skechers, I don't care. But like, in finding this newfound version of myself, I definitely found myself moving to the extreme of trying to satisfy the Instagram girl version of me that like wants to be on trend. So although I was confident enough to finally wear these clothes, be a part of that clique, I was assimilating with a culture that wasn't 100% me. It is me, but it definitely ignores and neglects like another part of me. Like, I am trying to find myself and put myself back in a place of posting whatever pictures that I want. Like, my pictures don't have to meet the like IG girl quota. They don't have to meet the DMV girl quota of this picture needs to get 400 likes on Instagram. Like, I want to post my random selfies. I want to post the awkward pictures that I take that I think are cute and that I like, or I like the photo op version of it, the more artistic part of myself. I haven't thrifted in so long. And even then, the last time I went thrifted, I'm pretty sure I looked for like club clothes. Like, imagine going to the thrift club and trying to find clothes that can satisfy the club aspect of you. Like, girl, be so very for real. I wasn't. So, me moving back home, I like had to rip the band-aid off once again for like the third time in the last 3 years. And I honestly love this. I love this aspect of growth. I love when I'm starting all over again, because I know I'm just going to take everything that I've learned and evolve again, become an even better version than what I thought I could be. And each time I've done that, it all started with self-love. If I don't really like the club, but then I'm looking for a husband in the club, chances are I'm not really going to like my husband. Me moving back to my parents' house, I'm so glad, because I finally get to start over. I finally get to really finish this puzzle. And even then, like, there will always be a missing piece. I'm glad to like add this next piece to my 1,000 piece puzzle. I am currently working on choosing to love myself as far as saving money. I've moved back to my parents so I can save. I am trying to find more practical jobs. If I know I want to save, then I have to meet it by all means. You know what I mean? I have to be willing to put myself in the uncomfortable, at least for a little bit, to at least get to that goal. I get to find my style. I get to incorporate parts of my style that I've ignored for the last 3 years into this new style that I found, into this newfound confidence. I get to post pictures on Instagram that are going to be more authentically geared towards me and my image and who I am as a person, who I am inside. And I get to embark on this journey of sharing this with you guys. So thank you guys so much for being here with me today, listening, and I really hope that you guys enjoy this episode. Again, I'm so sorry for like the inconsistency, but at the same time, you know, like I said, we're not all perfect. This is all new to me. I'm still trying to figure out like where exactly I want to put the camera, how I want to sit, what I want to do. I'm still trying to figure out like how exactly I want to present, and like there's so many things in my mind when I make these podcast videos, but I definitely think I really like this one because I can already tell that it came from a place that is more like I really was able to get a lot of things off my mind that I needed to like dissect and understand first before I could even put out this episode. And I'm so grateful that I even have like viewers and supporters that are willing to bear with me. So thank you guys again so much. Much love always, and Kwaheri.